think that it is true that we have a problem of development west of the Bongo, which is true. But I will not put it on the head of the government because I know we are the ones who have been in charge of our destiny. At one point, the Prime Minister has been in charge of construction. I've been in charge of contracts in the country for long. I think before till Prime Minister Yang
took over.
Yeah, took over. We've had Prime Ministers who are Anglophone origin. What have they were the ones who were supposed to take care of that. Why do you want to blame someone else? So how do you expect that a Francophone will come to my village in Bavochu to tell me how things should be done in Bavochu? It's only Bavochu man can fix Bavochu. If a Bavochu man cannot fix Bavochu, who else do you think will fix it?
We'll be coming back.
Don't forget that the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest is in the hands of our own brothers Anglophones to do it. So they're supposed to reorientate those things. And I bet you the guy in charge of reconstruction is my classmate and was one of the best amongst us, the students. So I know what is planning for you and me.
Okay.
He's going to fix up the quarries that Dr. Ndimancho
These same Anglophones that you are blaming that were in charge of contract are the same Anglophones now. No. Well, how different are these from the ones
because
we're supposed to?
Because now, now, you know why? I've said the person in charge of reconstruction is one of the, amongst the best amongst us when it comes to thought, when it comes to reorientation. So we just need to give our support. Let's give him the support and let him do his job, and you'll be surprised, Dr. Ndimancho.
Dr. Micheal Ndimancho, maybe you have a rebuttal before I ask you my question. Yes. Reaction from what senior barrister said.
I will just have maybe a few seconds to say that you see the kind of a tight corner that the CPDN and President Pobia has put very, very honest and intelligent people into, like Barrister Achu Julius. He finds it difficult to defend the irresponsible action of government. But he has to defend. But of course, he has no fact to defend it. He wants to defend his honest self, but there's no fact to defend.
No, but he said we have problems with development in West of
We have problems with development. He's still saying, when Barrister Achu says that, I ask you a question, which is rhetorical, that do you know the person who liquidated the WADA? And he knows that he's an Anglophone. You know the person who liquidated Power Cam, and that is an Anglophone. And I tend to look at Barrister Achu when he was saying, and I smiled. And I said, do you know why it was an Anglophone who liquidated it? Because they wanted to put the blame on an Anglophone. We even talk about the Prime Minister being in charge of whatsoever. They have given the Prime Minister the good and remain holding the rope.
Where you say,
where my brothers?
Where you say they, who are the they?
They, the CPDM, those of east of Mongo, who have refused to give us an equitable development in Cameroon. They have refused to extend development to the west of Mongo. They are the day. The CPDM with their chair, with their, how do they call their champion? And they have refused vehemently to be able to give us a chance to develop ourselves. They know that Anglophones are developers. And that is why, now, let me give you on the other side, Barrister. Do you know why when Anglophone revendicated against the brutality in the University of Buea, and they had to remove the Vice Chancellor and appointed that very Vice Chancellor, the Minister of Secondary Education? It is because they know that anybody who goes against an Anglophone is a hero in East Cameroon, within the ranks of the CPDN. Do you know why the very person who said there is no Anglophone problem in Cameroon, and that over his dead body he will ever hear about talk about Anglophone problem? Minister of the Super Minister of Voices in the Bush, of Minister of Territorial Administration.
No, but there's no minister in the name of Voices in the Bush.
Well, the minister has made it a cliche and a slogan. Many people don't even know about the Minister of Territorial Administration. But when you say the Minister of Voices in the Bush, many Cameroonians, even abroad, they know. They identify him very much.
That's from your end.
No, of course.
You take responsibility.
I take responsibility of what I'm saying. And I'm saying that is why the very person who said zero Anglophone crisis, like country community talk about zero more, now the very minister was appointed Minister of Territorial to tell Anglophones that shut up their mouth. Yes, I am the master of this country. And I said, anybody who is against you is for me. Contrary to Jesus. Jesus, you know, that is what, you know, everything happening in Cameroon is contrarily to the way of the Bible. That is why somebody will even say the head of state is the way, the life and the way and of all. And that is why we go anti-clockwise to say that everything that happened in Cameroon is good. Meanwhile, anybody who goes against the system of Cameroon, and I've said objectively, and of course, Barrister have talked objectively about certain issues here, and I know people of his rank don't like what he's saying. All they want to say is that the government has done 100%, and 100% is good, and that we should have to follow the head of state who is for great opportunities, the force of experience. And we're asking ourselves, since 2018, 4 years down the line, what is that force of experience that re-elected the President of the Republic in 2018? Because one of the hopes, and I know some few Anglophones voted, and it's true, and I respect their choice, that the force of experience was going to say, okay, just like George Bush was revoted in 2004. Yeah. Yes, because of the strike on Bin Laden, and of course of the strike on the World Trade Center in 2001. They said, no, if we remove George Bush now, it means that another person will come and start looking for where the problem started. This man knows where the problem is, and that we will vote him now, he's going to strike back. And they voted George Bush back in 2000 because
the war to Iraq.
Yes, and they took the war to Iraq. And now they are asking. And then after they said the war in Iraq, they were looking for war of mass destruction. And today they are asking the war of mass destruction that are in Ukraine. Where are they now? They say no, they knew that Ukraine has war of mass destruction. Iraq. Well, so we have to be very careful. The force of experience has come, and since 2018, we are not feeling the force of experience. And I remember that since 2018, we have seen the president of Cameroon in public life 5 times. Tah Mai Javis, a journalist, mark me. We have seen a president of a country live 5 times in 4 years. In 4 years! Is it not a shame? It's not a shame. That is to say that...
No, when you say we have seen him live 5 times, what do you mean? Because
it means that in public life, in speeches and whatsoever.
Because now, 11 February 2018 we had him, 31st December 2018 we had him, 11 February 2019 we had him, 31st even he addressed the Anglophone crisis also in an impromptu in 2018. So I want to give you a number of times. When you say 5 times, how many times?
Even the AFCON, so leave that story.
At AFCON.
What you are counting? What I'm counting is in terms of analysis.
Okay.
You can count. I know Barrister has seen more than 4. I cannot talk about him. I don't know. Barrister, have you seen the president of the Republic? But I know that even ministers don't see him. Because what I'm saying is about the common man in
Which minister do you know?
And the consequence of
which minister do you know? To ask him that type of question.
No, I cannot even ask going to ask the minister.
Let him learn that the rules of the game was that there's no interruption.
And that is why I'm saying that, they are bona fide, the president of bona fide. They are bona fide militants of the CBDM who have good faith for Cameroon, but they cannot exercise about good faith because their hands are tied. Yes, and it's a fact. And I'm saying it in open air. And we are saying that we have talked about the issue of building the coming back and giving actually a kind of a new image to the Anglophone crisis. Now, let's just talk about the DDR even. Do you know that even those guys at DDR, they could send off a strong message to those boys in the bushes? If they were well fed and they are enjoying, they will cause those boys in the bush to come, even without anybody calling for
them. They are not well fed.
They are not well fed. You have not been hearing them having strike action every day. You are a journalist, my brother. How can you betray me on set?
You are saying, you are the analyst.
I am saying, and I can quote Barrister. Don't you know that? Those guys have been striking every day that they don't have food now. No, honestly, Barrister, say yes.
They don't have food.
Yeah, they don't have food. They have been striking. They are not being fed. And they are asking and they are still there because now they cannot run.
Okay. Now let me ask you my question. My question is, Barrister raised an issue that the road is not being constructed because of insecurity and that the government is using a softer approach, an approach which is aimed at not causing great casualties on the side of people who are still Cameroonians, though some of them don't consider themselves as Cameroonians.
I will not say, a radical person will say that's a lie, but as a real person who knows about the rules of debate, I will say I differ in the opinion of Barrister.
You have just called it a lie because...
No, I say radical people. Radical people. No, radical people will say a lie. Because I can never say a lie. Listen, Tah Mai Javis, let me give you an example. Do you know that when the soldiers kill any of the Amber boys, they put it at the market square for everybody to come and see? Because for them it's victory. And I'm asking myself, how do you kill somebody and you think that's a victory? The rule of the army is to capture, bring it to a rehabilitation center, and bring the person to reason and re-educate the person. There is a need for psychological education. And when we have an army who kills an innocent young guy who has been drugged, who doesn't know or wonder which influence is working, and then they bring it to the market square, project to the whole world, brandish it to the whole world, and say we have killed. And you find them standing with long guns in front of an untrained young man that they have picked like a fly.
Untrained young man kills the army, huh?
And yet that is normal.
Huh?
That is, yeah, it's normal. It is normal for a blind man to catch you for a fight, to raise you for a fight, but it's unnormal. It's not normal for you, barrister, to go and catch a blind man for a fight. That is a fact, and we see this happen every day. The army would have proven a very much more responsible attitude with this, that you capture, you take to prison, you take to the rehabilitation center, re-educate, and not branches. When barrister says that then your government could even take all of them off, they will have taken. He said, I mean, I beg to differ. Let me not say it's a lie. I beg to differ. It is not true. If the government had the opportunity to even spray those guys to die in a day, would have done that. But they don't have the opportunity to do that. And people like No Pity, which is a small boy, is pushing the government forces. And we are saying that the government uses for. We have had a video that is viral where there is a gendarme who is lamenting and saying that when they get closer to No Pity, there is a call that they receive. L'ennemi est dans la maison. There is a call that they receive. They don't shoot. They don't shoot. Come back. Come back. And army made that video. It's viral. We have them. We have the video. It means that the government is kind of helpless. Let us come back to the issue of construction. How do you give a construction contract in a war zone to a civilian? This is irresponsible.
The barrister said if a military goes there, you will say they are foreign troops.
No! How can it be? We were expecting the Prime Minister to go back to Yaoundé after his trip in Bamida to say, Génie militaire, I have given you as an order, deliver me this contract in 2-3 months and let my promise for the people of the Northwest be real.
The same issue with Mundiba Road.
The same issue that we're having. The same issue with Ring Road. Now, do you know why the issue of the IED easily touch the duo and the people? Because of the long neglect of the government of Cameroon to rural routes. If they had a tar route, that thing would have worked. Because this thing is what? The IED, this explosive, they come and plant it. The person who detonate it is not far from there. Do you know that, barrister? The person who detonate that thing, cars can pass and it will not happen. But the person is beside the bush, just beside there, manipulating with this thing. And when the very car that their timing comes and step, pop, it happens. So the issue is the government is suffering from the long neglect of the non-development of the Anglophone region.
Okay. Thank you. We'll take on this brief transition. When we come back, we'll set the second topic rolling, and maybe at that time, Barrister will quickly react to some of the things you've raised so that we move on the second topic. Caught between the devil and the deep blue sea is Russia and Ukraine. Cameroon's government urged the government of Russia, the Russian government and the Ukrainian government to dialogue, and during the vote at the United Nations General Assembly in order to pass a resolution to condemn the acts of invasion, according to what the UN is saying, Cameroon's government was not in the vote as per se, as for what we gathered, that we actually abstained from the vote, and Mali also abstained from the vote. Now, could it be the fact that could it be because we are facing a similar situation of a secessionist threat in the northwest and southwest region, why the government is kind of skeptical not to push in and take the popular opinion of the US and the West? This is part 2 of the program. Senior Barrister Achu, I'll begin with you. Many are stating that, like the Post rightly put it, that Cameroonians in shock after government released a communique from Minister of Communication that urging Ukraine to dialogue. And some say, but it's a similar situation in Cameroon.
It is not a similar situation in Cameroon. Because if you go to find out what happened, what is the genesis of this problem, most people that know the story will be very shocked. But what I gather is a version of my own for facts that I can actually expose. There is a journalist who was there, sponsored by the Russians, to go and do findings. A Cameroonian journalist. And from his findings, what Putin is fighting is not only Ukraine, but the fact that another type of COVID was being planned. What many people don't know is that all those devils that have these laboratories, all those things are found in Ukraine. And Putin has decided that this thing COVID will stop. And that's why he's invading Ukraine. So the fight is not because of the territory, but it's a fight against the laboratories that prepare viruses to destroy the world or make the whole world a hostage. And when one guy was saying, I said, let me sit back and watch. Russians are brutal when it comes to warfare. But I noticed that this war is not brutal. It would appear they go for particular areas, particular spots. They say they're getting into Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. No. But I realized that instead of going to certain areas where you have laboratories.
Yes. Those nuclear plants.
Nuclear plants. Nuclear plants, there are only two that they've been taken over already. But there are laboratories they're going in for, because that is where those chemical weapons are being planned to be spread in the world to cause stir and the havoc that you and me see. There's this story that when once the Soviet USSR, Union of Soviet Social Republic, was broken down into bits, there was an understanding that NATO will not cross the border into any of those states. But it would appear NATO is already into 3 or 4 of them and is coming to Ukraine, which was like the breadbasket of the whole area.
And all those places.
Because all the industries in those days were centralized in Ukraine. That was a natural, rich area when it comes to agriculture and minerals. Because that's another part of the stories. And when once Putin realized that the West wasn't respecting that part of the deal, and that's one of the reasons why he's attacking. But coming back to Cameroon, you know, President Paul Biya is a peace-loving guy. He doesn't like war. Otherwise, we would have seen war in this country. I'm telling you again, he doesn't like war. Most of you have never seen war. I saw a small bit of war in Central African Republic. What we have here is...
I also saw it in Munyana when I was in Munyana.
It's supporting. There's no war. I'm telling you again, it's no war. We not had a re-bomb. Those gas bottles that they put on the road to detonate, that's nothing. The day you hear the sound of a re-bomb, you understand that this is war now. The day you hear aircraft passing and dropping bombs, you know that this is war. The day you hear missiles flying, you know that this is war. The day you hear artillery shooting from armored cars, you know that this is war.
But we have had artillery in Kwakwa, Nakebole. I went and did a documentary in Kwakwa, Nakebole.
Look, were they chain foot armored cars? So armored cars will not matter. Those are nothing. I'm telling you, those are meant for peace. They're not meant for war.
So the question
but the day we'll see war,
the question is Cameroon well placed to make that?
Sure, when it comes to diplomacy,
looking at what is happening.
No. So far, Cameroon, to me, has managed well this issue. Otherwise, the bloodshed that you and me should have had here should have been terrible. The way that it has been managed, people have died, yes, but it should have been worse than this. If you cry about this, and only tears come out, that time when the real thing starts, you cry and it's blood that will come out. Right now, we have nothing. I say, come back. You know, when it comes to diplomacy, it is common interest. It's not friendship, alliances, or whatever. If you know, Cameroon is more in the non-aligned side. We are non-aligned. We are neither in a block this way or block that way. We are in the middle. In the sense that
approach.
We prefer a negotiated settlement than warfare. Like, can you imagine? We have war. We have people who are in the bushes using guns to kill. The government says, "Look, come to the rehabilitation centers." They open a center for them. Come on, is that not being too kind? Instead of going to kill them, you say, "No, come, forget, drop those guns and come and see." To me, that is being very kind. That is no warfare, and that is Cameroon. We are urging them to sit down and talk, which is a good thing. Just like in Cameroon, we are urging everybody to sit down and talk. What's the difference? And you should know that Russia and Ukraine are talking. They've already gone to the second. They've talked twice, and the third one is again on Monday. So, despite the war, so-called war, because I say so-called war, they are talking. Because the issues are so complicated that Putin is not crazy. You just get up one day and say, look, this country like that are not allowed to go to one side. It's not crazy. And if you want to go into the depth of the reasons why, you may give him some good reasoning. But you see, again, the method, killing innocent people, can never be accepted by anybody. That is why it's always good to talk about it. And when you sit and talk about it, you can come up with solutions that everybody accepts. For example, I saw a Republican senator who said President Biden had the solution. Yes. Just give guarantees to Putin that Ukraine will not be part of NATO. And that should have stopped this thing. What does it cost America to say yes? It is because the underlying interest is much more than having peace.
Yeah.
They may prefer war because as I say, there are guys who think that they're governing the world, who think that they can move things around as they like. Those are the guys doing what is going on, and that's why Putin wants to stop it. The proof is that they've not talked about COVID for the past 11 days.
Yes. Yeah. It's like Putin had
all those newspapers.
It's like Putin has bombed COVID.
Yes. you see, so that's why I see, and I like the government approach in the sense that please sit down and talk.
Okay.
We never voted. We never participated in the vote. So it was not even absentia. We didn't participate.
We're not even there.
We didn't. No, we're there, but we never participated.
Okay.
Because we have a permanent representative at the United Nations, so we cannot say we're there. But we made sure we didn't even abstain. We were not just there. We're not counted amongst those who were voting or not voting. So which is the approach in Cameroon that we are non-aligned.
Okay. Dr. Micheal Ndimancho, do you agree with Barrister that Cameroon is well placed to give lessons to Russia and Ukraine, looking at what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest, which you said the future generation and Anglophone will not forgive us if we don't react, using the word of John Franklin Kennedy?
This is one of the very, very first time that I will agree with the action of Republic of Cameroon. It is a very, very great action. Why? You see, when you go and you test water with 2 feet.
So this is the very first standard to you. The government are going responsible?
Well, you are using the word responsible. But here I'm saying that as an international relations, I would think that this is one of the best things that the government of Cameroon has done. And I want to give my reason. The government has tested war. You know,
this is not war.
No, that is, we call it a crisis. But for us, we look at it as a war because we have never experienced it. Yes. Do you know that, Barrister, you can look at this television and say that this is, they call it, what do you call it, a cinema. But somebody who has never seen this TV before will say, we say it's a cinema. But you will say this is just a small TV now. It depends on the judgment. Most of all, you said that we don't know war here. And it's true. We are considering this crisis to be a war because we have never seen war. And Nigeria will not come and say the same thing. Somebody from Central Africa will come and see it differently. Somebody from Ivory Coast will come and see it differently. But we who have never known this, I've never heard the sound of a pistolet until this crisis started in 2017. No, in fact, I've never heard the sound of a pistolet until 2017. So what I'm saying is that Cameroon has honestly given its own reaction to this issue in Ukraine. That, you know, we started this crisis and we thought that we can just stop this issue or suffocate these Anglophones. By the way, President Biya said in the Paris Peace Conference that we thought we were going to assimilate them.
Another possibility.
That's right. It's from experience. La force d'experience. So they thought they were going to just suffocate them, the Anglophone, but they didn't. So they are giving an advice from an expert, from an experienced point of view, and I'm very perfectly agreement with President Povia.
But many say the advice they give is not what they're implementing.
That is true. They have tried to test war, and they have seen that it's very difficult. And that's why I'm against Barrister Achu to say that they are just pitying the Anglophone, they all have it. No, they are not pitying. They have tested and they have seen that it's very difficult. Why should they advise other people to go for that war? And that is just the standpoint they are taking. That no, war is not the best solution. Please, can you settle this thing amicably? Secondly, you know that we have had high-level diplomats who have come to Cameroon because of this Anglophone crisis. Barrister says that it's just a crisis and this. But we have had high-level diplomats in the world have come to Cameroon. We had the Secretary General of the UN who came because of this crisis. Do you think that it was a small thing? The Secretary General will have come? No. He came, and what did he say? He received his gift. And after his gift, what did he say? We are deeply concerned. We had the Secretary General, Patricia, of the Commonwealth. She came to Cameroon. One day went to the Unity Palace. They gave her a calabash. And what did she say? She has never seen a calabash before. She said, oh my God, Angophones, I'm very, very concerned about what is happening in the Anglophone region. Please, can you settle this issue? We had the Secretary General of the Francophonie, who came to Cameroon, went to the Unity Palace. They gave her a bowl of fufu corn. She said, oh my God, Anglophone, I'm very deeply concerned about this thing.
Musa
Please, and Musa Baki came to Cameroon. Who else, as a high-ranking world leader, have we not had in Cameroon because of Anglo-Francis? So the Pope sent the apostolic nuncio, and they even wrote the Pope even wrote a letter. If you don't remember, he even wrote a letter talk about the issue. And don't mind, the nuncio was
but he said President Pobia is a peace-loving man. That
is true. That is why he's advising Ukraine and the world and Russia that they should settle this issue amicably, because a peace-loving man who doesn't want to love him war. Because he doesn't have the arsenal to fight war. That is true. Really? He has tried and it is not okay. And he cannot advise other people to go for it because war is a bad thing. Because you will go for war. Look at, just look at what is happening. America made noise. And the only thing that America could say that, you see, Ukraine, we can only assist with the weapons. We will not send the soldiers there. France made noise. And France even had a talk with Putin. You know what Macron came on and said? He's looking at the future. Is very bleak about this thing. The way should be very good. The future, what the discussion with Putin is not really good for the future. You see, everybody is talking, and there is no action. We want action. Incarnate it. Incarnate your words. Let the words take flesh. And now Ukraine is beginning to understand that this thing that the world is talking and saying that they're supporting us here, we should be very careful because no help is coming. And you see Zelensky even cried out and said, where?
Yeah, after the fact that he covered no
fly zone and nobody is even responding.
And Putin responded. That even no fly zone.
Zelensky is coming to his senses. And don't mind, he's only flexing Moses for nothing. It will end very soon. He is going to give in. Why? Because he knows that he is not even the leader of Ukraine.
Okay, let's narrow it down to Cameroon now. Should Cameroon be given a council that they don't respect it? Like a council of no war dialogue, and we are faced with this conflict for long, and you are of the opinion that they still need to dialogue by giving the concrete things that Cameroonian Anglophones need.
Good. It's a very good question. You see the way Ukraine is going to react will teach Cameroon. Because even the issue of they talk about dialogue with this diplomat whatsoever, Ukraine or whatsoever, it is not what going to help. Barrister gave a synopsis of what is happening. And the synopsis is that Ukraine is hiding something. By the time Ukraine lays bare of this issue, weapons of mass destruction, this pharmaceutical industry are destroying the world, Putin will quickly understand. It is going to be an issue of gentlemanly understanding. It's not even going to be from the talks. And Putin is not going to tell the world that this is what happens. Once they lay bare all these things, and that is what I'm asking Cameroon to do. Cameroon doesn't need to go and spend 10 billion at the Congress Hall now, Barrister. We need the 10 billion to construct the Bamida Road now. We don't need that. Only do what is necessary.
Okay.
Construct roads, build the economy, let Anglophone feel fine, bring back even those the power come and the WADA, and let them even the Cameroon Bank come back. Let the economy boom. Don't call for any dialogue. And then the people are the ones to fight for you. The people, because even when you call for the dialogue, the common people come. Who went for the dialogue in Yaoundé? They went and called for even people who don't even represent the Anglophone community.
Padia Sanga was there.
And
who? Padia Sanga was there.
Sanga, who does he represent? You know, he's watching us now. He's my man. But he didn't represent the Anglophone voice. He didn't. And he knows that. He's talking about one Cameroon. What is one Cameroon? Who knows that? That's what I'm saying, that do things that the Anglophone will feel.
Okay.
Don't call for Anglophone. We don't have a leader. Have we put any leader in Anglophone crisis? We are not any leader. Let the people down there feel that something is happening. And then they will stand up and say, hey, somebody will decide. You know what the way Muslims they do when they want to introduce their religion? They call that a martyrdom. Somebody will go and bomb himself in order to free his other brothers. He will not be a partisan. He will not connect with other brother. When he has seen what the government is doing down, he will do that.
Good day, Javis. It is but true that CPDM, those who origins are from the southwest and northwest regions, are partly to blame for what is going on in this region. But everything is under control. But the government, which has refused to listen to the cry of the masses, does not have any authority to lecture Russia and Ukraine. A credible plebiscite is the only way forward. It's coming from Gole Hene. From Limbe. Good thing, Tah Javis. I agree with Senior Barrister Achu. However, he should say so to anyone who kills another because of ideas, not just so-called separatists. This is equally done on a daily basis, and the bodies being displayed for public view by regular military, though Nenang from Ginicom. This other one read, it says, happy Sunday to you. I must say that Barrister is someone supporting the government, but sometimes speaks the truth. So to me, he should just be speaking the truth and abandon the government. Barrister, are you working with the government?
But I told Barrister to join the opposition.
Good afternoon, fellow panelists of my media pan. 1 + 1 = 2. But according to Barrister, 1 + 1 is 11. All times, Grafred, tell your president to call for a ceasefire and for a dialogue. This is coming from Valley in Limbe. Because of time constraints, so many messages. Barrister Achu, what should be the way forward as far as this conflict is concerned? You've disagreed with Dr. Micheal Ndimancho in some areas and you've accepted some of his views. And somehow we are about to part company. We have 10 minutes. I want you to take 5 minutes or 4 minutes to tell Cameroonians what should be the way forward of this conflict.
The first thing that we should accept is that the biggest supporter of Anglophone is called President Paul Biya. Because he has the knife and the yam in the country as the President of the Republic. Which means if anybody has to go to that high office, he's the one to determine it. And if we're intelligent and knowledgeable enough, that is what we should look forward to. Because we think we Anglophones are better to make Cameroon better than it is. If you ask any normal Anglophone, you think that because of our culture, we are better placed, right, to be at the helm of government, the helm of the institutions, the helm of the country, to make this country a better place. And let me tell you, you cannot be somebody's successor if you don't attract, if you are not attractive enough to him to decide that this is my successor. So that's the first issue. Second issue is, you know, when it comes to politics, when once a system has been put in place, for example, we voted a constitution in 1996, and we say the country is going to be, institutions are going to be placed accordingly. Since 1996, no other political party has succeeded in changing it. Because when it comes to change, you might complain, you might say whatever, but once you can't change it, what do? As a Democrat, you have to live with it as it is till the day you have the opportunity to change it. And if you want to change it midway, it means you want to cause a revolution. And you want to cause a revolution, you are not destroying the country. And so in politics, what you should do is always prepare yourself for the next election. Always prepare yourself for the next election. The worst thing anybody can do is boycott elections. Because with boycott elections, the policy on empty seat has showed its weaknesses. You can't go anywhere with politics on empty seat. Thirdly, we Anglophones always go in scattered ranks. We always think that when once a group of persons just sit in some small meeting and think that the Anglophone population to think like this, and whoever doesn't follow that line of thought is an enemy, that thing should stop. I usually say this because look at AAC1, AAC2, SCNC, IG, all those stuff, AGF, those are small groups of individuals who think they can impose their authority on everybody through very undemocratic means, either by force, by insults, by cajoling, by pretense, by war, by those kidnappings and all the like. Those things don't work. What we should do is let's succeed in getting a real political party in place. And the best bet for us is to invade the CPDM. Don't forget, the CPDM is a party born and bred in Bamenda. And we have left it to go into the hands of other people.
Many people say it was not born and bred, it was just transformed.
No. Call it what you like, but it is called
because
CPDM.
People say there's no official document to show that this is a party created. It was CNU transformed and rebranded to CPDM.
That's not a political discourse, but an academic discourse, which means they can be pro and cons. Okay. We don't have to, don't go there. In politics, you don't go to such things. You don't do that. What you do is, as I say, let's invade CPDM and make sure we have a block of CPDM.
Okay.
With a leader of our own areas where we can now lobby and discuss what we want. But we go in dispersed ranks, we'll never get anything. And we'll always be like that, insulting each other and thinking that you are better than the other. And by so doing, we don't get anything out of it. They send us to places to go and get things to bring to our population. It is your own brother in the village that fights you. In such a way, you can even bring nothing there.
Okay.
Anything that becomes a poison gift. That's where we have a problem.
Thank you very much.
If we can get that solution, solve this thing, thank God, we will look different in this country.
Thank you very much, Senior Barrister Achu. Dr. Micheal Ndimancho, you have 4 minutes to tell Cameroonians what you think should be the way forward. And also, you said Senior Barrister should take the message to Yaoundé. Maybe you want to give him a message again.
And the message I'm giving the Barrister is, it is very true what Barrister has said. The CPDM is like the grandfather of all political parties. That's a fact. And I accept that. Even though it is old dance in new dress, but it is a grandfather of political parties. Now, my message is, when 7 years to an election, you people are already organizing and calling for your champion to stand, how do you encourage some of us who are outside to come and change what is inside? Must we join to encourage your champion who is already, some of us are seeing, he has done a good job, let him go and rest. And that you who are insiders are afraid. And there's a lot of wrangle between you people. Nobody wants to take a front row to say, okay, like in other countries, that's what happens here.
We are not talking about CPDM.
Yeah, we are not talking about CPDM. We are using for welfare, all right?
Yes, come back.
No, you asked me to talk to Barrister.
Yes, no, on the government perspective on this crisis in the Northwest
Barrister has taken the message. He has taken the message, and they have heard. So on the government bench, I would say, if I am here in Cameroon today, at least, it is not by myself, of course. It's because I've benefited from the services of the government of Cameroon.
So it's not irresponsible.
Well, when you say somebody is responsible, you need to define it. Because the irresponsibility of Tah Mai Javis may be in journalism, but not in his household upholding. Yes, that is right. So it is just a sweeping statement to say somebody is responsible in a particular case. I've said in the Anglophone, in the strive for solution for the Anglophone problem, the government of Cameroon has been irresponsible because things have even caught them short and they didn't know see this coming. And I'm very convinced that if we turn back the hand of time to 2016, the government would not have the very repose that they had with the teachers and the lawyers in 2016. Barrister, you will believe me that the government will have learned a lesson and say that and to know that this is not the way they were supposed to react. It's a fact. Now, that is a mistake they did, and I know they are cognizant of that mistake, and that is why they are struggling from behind to solve the problem. They have been struggling. That is a fact. We have seen teachers being redistributed, but it's too late. When teachers already have something in their mind, and you know when there's already a problem, there is that continuous demand, there's that continuous repetition or of advertisements to say we want more, we want more. Now, the government indirectly empowered the Anglophone teachers and even lawyers and even the other to think that they can ask for more and more and more and more because people are kind of putting them in that position to think that if they ask for more, the government will give. There's what we call in psychology a step on the door technique, whereby when you want a big thing, when you want a small thing, you first start by asking a big thing. That is what they started by doing. They started with a step on the door technique by asking for independence when in effect they wanted federation. And they thought that when they will be too radical like that, the government will say, yeah, we'll give you independence. But since the government have been too used to suffocating any demands of whoever and putting up military to solve a problem, they thought it was going to be like that. But we kept on saying that this is a time bomb. And I've often said, since 2006, I've said, we thank God that this thing has happened in our reign. And I'll put myself in the shoes of Franklin to say that we have a responsibility to answer to our children. Because if this thing didn't happen in 2016, Tah Mai Javis, it will have happened in 2050. It is something, Barrister, mark my word, it is something that was going to happen, whether we like it or not. Because we have failed, cheated for so long a time.
We're out of time.
Yes, and let me learn. And like Rosa Parks, we said enough in a lot, that we have borne so much for so long a time, and this is a time for government to look back. And that we want no dialogue. The dialogue people are calling for should be the dialogue in terms of development in the Cameroon region. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's a way to thank you.
Barrister.
The best way to succeed Paul Biya is to support him.
Thank you, Barrister, for accepting this one-on-one against Dr. Micheal Ndimancho. Also, thank you for accepting the one-on-one with Barrister Achu. And I want to say that it was an enriching program, a political debate, and we always disagree to agree. And that was it. In case you want to be part of this program, contact me on the numbers on your screen. And don't only write me that, please invite this, don't invite this. Your voice too matters. So I will want to invite you too, so that you too should come and take responsibility of your action. My name is Tah Mai Javis from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. What matters is that hope to see you same time next week. Bye-bye.